Speed is on a tour of Africa. Many youth are learning for the first time that the continent is more than baboons and mud huts. American education is so fucked, bro. These niggas will teach you that this guy built the pyramids, King Channing Tatum. And the rest of Africa is just savages and loincloths. And then they develop false sciences, see eugenics, to create biological proof of inferiority. It hurts my heart. But it's a necessary part of the thievery of our gold and our diamonds to convince the world that we are inferior. Speed actually tried to purchase a diamond in Botswana, to which they replied that they're only allowed to sell their own diamonds to De Beers, the British mega corporation founded by Cecil Rhodes.
What we do is we sort these diamonds.
Okay, what if I want to buy these? I want to buy one of these diamonds.
If you want to buy one of these diamonds.
Yeah, who do I talk to?
You'd have to talk to De Beers or the site holders, because we don't sell. We only have 2 customers.
But I can't be a customer. This is my first time in Botswana.
We can make arrangements for you to buy diamonds.
Yes.
But these are rough.
Yeah, I know, but what if I want to buy a rough diamond?
No. We only sell rough to 2 customers.
And then maybe you can talk.
Is that part of your contract? Y'all can only sell to those 2 customers.
That's part of
Literally stole the land and the mines through murder and slavery. And still to this day has scholarships named after him, Rhodes Scholarships. Heard of that? It's some George Washington shit. George Washington type beat. Botswana is the top diamond producer in the world and is one of the poorest countries on earth. So Speed, like any reasonable person learning about colonial theft for the first time, it's like, that's weird. Like, I can't buy a diamond from the people that mine the diamonds? All right. But I love it though, because these kids, man, they're gonna see the truth. Just like they saw Gaza through TikTok, that is seeing Africa in all its glory through Speed's stream. Similarly to the ICE killing of Renee Good, you can't lie about what we've seen on camera. And to Black Americans, Africans love you. They will welcome you home. This division between us, manufactured by the powers that be. They lied to us. Because when we unite, African Americans, the most culturally influential group on the planet, with Africans, the fastest growing population, and the most resources on earth, that's the only way we get free. Because all our heroes knew this shit. Malcolm X said you can't care about Mississippi without caring about what's going on in the Congo. 60 years ago, man. Don't be brainwashed into thinking we ain't one people.
Hello there, hi. Your good friend, your faithful friend, once again, Marvin. Thanks for joining me. Now, you just heard that man talk about the education system in America. What the I Show Speed tour in Africa has done, one of the things, because there's so many things to really just break down, but one of the things is education. And rightfully, he said that the education system in America is messed up. I personally find it interesting, let me put it that way, that Africa is not a curriculum in the American studies. You would think that America, being the country that it is, a top country, first world country, you would think that they would want their people to know about where civilization started and how it started. I mean, this is where mathematics came from, science, music, all kinds of things. So you'd think that this would be a big part of, or a big curriculum for the education system in America, so that people know. Also that they may know their roots, because everybody has roots in Africa anyway. So today, the purpose of this video for me is to bring to your attention some nuggets, some pieces of information that you'll find very, very interesting. And then you can use those as leads to do your own investigation as you seek to educate yourself. Because this is what the I Show Speed Tour of Africa has revealed. The need for much more education. And on these platforms, fortunately, we can keep educating each other. So today I want to cast my spotlight on 2 countries that I call twin countries. I call them twin countries. You will not hear them being called in education or by experts as twin countries. I just choose to call them twin countries for 2 specific reasons that, again, you'll find very, very interesting. And this is Zambia and Zimbabwe. Incidentally, I Show Speed traveled to both of these countries. I believe Zimbabwe must have been the 3rd or 4th country that he went to, and then he went into Zambia. On his way to crossing from Zimbabwe to Zambia, he did bungee jumping at the Victoria Falls. And that is the first reason why I call Zambia and Zimbabwe twin countries, because they share this natural wonder. And to say wonder is actually an understatement. This mighty Victoria Falls is much more than a natural wonder. It is amazing. And before I even say anything more about the Victoria Falls, I want you to see the reaction of a group of African Americans, actually a couple. They identify themselves on social media, particularly YouTube, as unapologetic nomads. Look at the reaction. I want you to see the reaction before I give you the description of this natural wonder. Look, I want you to see this reaction when this woman first saw the Victoria Falls. Take a look at this.
So on this viewing point, that's where we view lunar rainbow. This is a kind of rainbow that comes out in the night. So on the 12th to the 16th of this month, the falls will be opened in the night from 6 p.m. to about midnight for people to come and view what we call the lunar rainbow. When we have the full moon and it's quite clear in the sky, the rainbow comes out in the night. So this is where we do the lunar viewing here.
That's a lot of water. I didn't know it was that strong. That's crazy. That's crazy.
That is amazing. That is beautiful. That is powerfully beautiful.
This is one of the experiences that you need in Africa. You need this experience. Now, here are a few things or facts about the Victoria Falls. So, history that was shaped by our friends, Europeans, white people from Europe, suggests or indicates or records that David Livingstone discovered the Victoria Falls. It is not true. All right? He was led to discover the Victoria Falls with the help of a few people, local people that lived in that area. One of the tribes that lived in that area was the Tokalea. And the Tokalea were headed at the time by Chief Sekeletu. Chief Sekeletu. There was another chief also that collaborated the making the mission of David Livingstone comfortable. We know David Livingstone was called a missionary, okay, missionary of salvation, Christian missionary, okay, which is questionable. I've done a video on this. You can take a look at it and see. I've asked a number of questions if really he was a missionary, because we know that missionaries came to Africa to come and colonize. We know that, all right? But that's a subject for another day. All right, so these are the people, Chief Sekeletu and a few others, another chief as well, helped him to discover the Victoria Falls and to navigate his way around the mission that he came for in this part of Africa. Now, as you saw there, the amazement on this woman when she first saw the Victoria Falls, David Livingstone had a similar experience. And the words that he said when he saw the Victoria Falls, they've become a famous quote. It's a quote that you can find on social media. You just Google and you'll find, I beg your pardon, not social media, on Google or on the internet. And the words of David Livingstone are amazing. Amazing. And this is what he said. Scene so lovely must have been gazed upon by angels in their flight. Scenes so lovely must have been gazed upon by angels in their flight. Absolutely crazy. And just so you know, Livingstone, which is the city that the Victoria Falls is found in, is not actually named. That's not the original name. The original name of the city is Maramba. But then again, you know, the colonial tendency of naming things after white people so that all the credit goes to white people. That's what happened to this city. So the actual name of the city, the initial name of the city is Maramba. The Victoria Falls itself as well was named after Queen Victoria of England. but the actual name of the falls is Mosi-O-Tunya. Mosi-O-Tunya. Zambia actually has a very popular beer which is named after these falls. It's called Mosi. All right, it's called Mosi. I think there are other rival beers that have come up in the country that are chasing the popularity of this beer, but because I don't drink, so I don't know if the Mosi is still number one. It actually has been number one even in the southern region for some time now, even though it competes with other brands, goes on and off on number one and off and drops and things like that. But again, because I don't drink, so I don't really keep my hands on these things. All right, but so Zambia do have a beer called Mosi. All right, so when you visit Zambia, you need to taste that beer. All right, so yeah, but Mosi-O-Tunya, which is the name of the falls, the actual name, the initial name, means the smoke that thunders. And this is the wonder that you need to see, the smoke that thunders. Yeah, so the second reason why I call Zambia and Zimbabwe twin countries is because these two countries were headed by the same colonial master who was Cecil Rhodes. All right, so the two countries were given the same name. Zambia was north and Zimbabwe was south, but both of them were called Rhodesia, named after Cecil Rhodes. Rhodes, Rhodesia. So Zimbabwe was southern Rhodesia, Zambia was northern Rhodesia. There was a third country to the colonies that he ran. It included Malawi, which at the time was named Nyasaland. Today it's known as Malawi. But back to Zambia and Zimbabwe. All right. So these two countries were called Rhodesia. Zambia was independent first, ahead of Zimbabwe. Zambia was independent in 1964, 24th October 1964. All right. I'm not sure why Zimbabwe lagged behind, because it came into independence 16 years later, which is 1980. I think the difference is 16 years, right? So 1980. But interestingly, as much as Zambia went ahead of Zimbabwe with regards to gaining independence, Zimbabwe went ahead of Zambia in terms of infrastructure development. I don't know how that happened, okay? So when you look at the two countries, Zambia is a little bit behind in terms of infrastructure development. Now, you can't really see so much of a difference, because obviously what you find in Zimbabwe, you find in Zambia. They're really on the same level with regards to the luxuries you can find and the extremes of poverty that you can find. It's basically the same thing. The same things you find in Zambia, you find in Zimbabwe. But you'll notice that there's a difference with the infrastructure development. Yeah, so also bear in mind, the first country to gain independence in Africa was Ghana, all right? The first president of Ghana, Kwame Nkrumah, was very good friends with the first president of Zambia, also Zimbabwe. These guys were more or less a clique, all right? They shared ideas, they met together, strategized together, and things like that. One of the interesting things I want to bring out, which you'd be very, very interested to know, is that the first president of Zambia was Kenneth Kaunda, popularly known as KK, all right? So he was popularly known as KK. In fact, Africa having football as its biggest sport. Football in Africa is like a god, all right? So the football team, and I'm talking football in terms of the original football, not American football, because in Africa, soccer is football. In fact, even in Europe, soccer is football. It's only in America where it's called soccer, all right? So I'm talking football in terms of soccer, all right? So football is huge. Football is like a religion in Africa. And at the time, the Zambia national team, the football team, was called KK11 at the time that Kenneth Kaunda, or KK, was president. One of the things you might be interested to know is that Kenneth Kaunda was very good friends with Malcolm X and was very good friends with Martin Luther King. These three strategized together. And also, in the circle of association, they also had the famous Jamaican Pan-Africanist Marcus Garvey. He was a close associate as well, together with Kwame Nkrumah and other stalwarts like Julius Nyerere of Tanzania, first president, Mobutu Sese Seko, first president of DRC or Zaire at the time, Zaire or Zaire, depending on where you come from, depending on how fluent your tongue is. Zaire or Zaire, I believe it's Zaire, which is now called Congo or DRC, Congo DRC. All right. So all of these, including Nelson Mandela, Oliver Tambo, the freedom fighters in South Africa, all of these guys were one. All right. But what I wanted to bring out there that you might find interesting as African Americans is that Kenneth Kaunda was very, very good friends with Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. They brainstormed together. They were lock and key. They were lock and key. And that should be a symbol for us also to be able to build our relationships that close, that we are unshakable and cannot be broken. We need to get back to that because that's how it was before the lies of white people came in and destroyed that relationship. Yeah? Take note, and this will this will flip you. Take note, there's so many tribes in Africa. Zambia alone has 73 tribes. 73 tribes. Now, one of the things that you notice as you study Africa is that there's been so many migrations. So much that some of the tribes you find in Zambia, you might find in other parts of the country, for example. And again, one of the interesting things that happened is when the colonial masters were drawing the borders in Africa, they literally were splitting tribes into two. So in some parts of the country that you go to, for example, in the east, you find the Chewa people, the tribe called Chewa. They are split between the country of Malawi and Zambia because the border cut in the middle of a tribe. Same thing on the western border, all right, where you find the Lozi tribe in Angola and part of it in Zambia. So those kinds of things have happened. But also one other interesting thing is the tribal migrations that have happened in Africa for many, many, many years. So you find the Zulu tribe in Zambia, but the Zulu tribe is also found in South Africa, all right. And this is where this is the tribe that produced the great warrior Shaka Zulu. I'm sure most of you have heard of Shaka Zulu. That he was something, all right? He was awesome at warfare, and he really, really, really gave the British a run for their money. Man, he was a pain in their neck. All right, that's where Shaka Zulu comes from. So some of the interesting things that you might want to study and which you'll be interested to see in person is these tribal dances. The Zulus have got very, very nice traditional dances. And so as a result, the country has so many traditional ceremonies that are held in different months. And three of the biggest ones in Zambia the first one is the Nchwala. Nchwala is it the Nsenga or the Ngoni? I think the Ngoni, all right? Sometimes I get mixed up with these tribes. But the Nchwala ceremony is one of the biggest ceremonies in the country. And then also there's the Umutomboko of the Bemba-speaking people. The Bemba-speaking people came out of the kingdom of the Bakongo, all right? So Umutomboko, all right? And then there's also the Kuomboka ceremony of the Lozi-speaking people in Western Province. The Lozi-speaking people, they have the Kuomboka, all right? Those are very, very interesting and powerful ceremonies. And so obviously the country has so many traditional dances. Every tribe has a traditional dance, and these people can dance. When they do their traditional dances, man, it's just awesome. And it's from these traditional dances that we got into music genres such as Kalindula, Rumba. I think Rumba has only been rivaled in the last 10 or 20 years. Rumba for decades has been the king genre of African music. It has produced the likes of Franco, Pepe Kale, and more recently, Fally Ipupa. Rumba is just in a class of its own, and in the future I'll need to talk about these genres of music and just African music in general before we even talk about the greats of West Africa such as Fela Kuti and other people like that. So it's rich with culture and tradition. You can never be bored. You can never be bored at all. I think I've given you quite a lot. I've put a lot on your plate. These things can become leads that you can use to do your own research and study the people and the countries as you're looking for countries that you want to go to. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.